Dad got me started with fish tanks, right? And it just kind of has evolved over the years. I eventually had a friend that coerced me without twisting my arm off into getting into salt, because I had been keeping tanks so long. And I ended up starting with a very small reef tank in combination with also running a predator tank, and kind of got a lot of things down. And then after that, the little BioCube or the 40-gallon breeder, either one of them, they just weren't cutting it. So went to a 180 Reef, and oh my God, have I learned so much throughout this process. Yes, there's been a lot of heartache, but there's been a lot of great successes and really just neat stuff about this hobby that's fun to learn. So quite frankly, I'm pretty stoked to show you what I'm about to show you, because this has come a long way since I very first started. This may look crazy to you when you first look at it, but I'll kind of explain a few things as we go along. So we'll start over here on this side. You got to have a pretty hefty heater to be able to control the temperature. In my case, I have my tank backed up against a window. It's actually curtained right there, so there's definitely temperature fluctuation coming through that air gap right there, and I tried to block it off as much as possible, but it is what it is. So there's that, and then right next to that you see my Wavemaster Pro. This guy actually cycles the pumps up in the tank in all sorts of different wacky, crazy, multi-directional combinations and all that stuff, which keeps the current flowing in different rotations like you want it to in the actual ocean. So you come down over here with your two drains. Those go in, and then it cycles through. This is my refugium portion of the sump, where I've got some shrimpies and a couple fish and stuff, and then it filters through the baffles, comes over in here, and when it hits this chamber right here, you've got a couple of things going on here. So right here in the back is our Reef Octopus protein skimmer, and this guy is just bad to the bone. Takes all the skim and protein and nastiness and stuff you don't want in your water out. A lot of it, for the most part, helps with ammonia and nitrate control, but it doesn't do it all. And then I've got over here my new addition to the tank, which is my calcium reactor. Now, this is a really neat deal here, because this is gonna this is how you check your alkalinity and calcium, and then your salinity right there. But you also want to be able to just, instead of having to dose constantly and put stuff in there, you can actually set up a reactor to where it automatically maintains your DKH and your calcium and all that, the magnesium even. I actually put some magnesium in, so a quarter section of the calcium reactor with magnesium. So whenever that CO2 kicks on right there with that, it's hooked up to this pH controller, so it tells it right there at the top what the reactor is sitting at. And we want to be sitting ideally at 6.7, so between 6.6 and 6.8. And so that's going to auto-regulate that to where I don't even have to mess with it, and it'll give me a good breakdown, and then poof, it'll auto-run what I need it to do. So that'll be great. And then after that, you see this last chamber right here, which is where your return is, which goes back up into the tank, and those two sections, which comes back out your overflows on both sides. Now, what's cool about this chamber is I've also turned it into a Chaeto chamber. So if you notice, I've got that tumbling right there on the inside of that, and that is what actually removes phosphates and nitrates. So this is your natural way of combating your phosphates and nitrates. This will actually, it's a macroalgae, it will feed off of those and actually grow. You got to have a little specialty light here, but yeah, that's pretty cool. It also is a great home for copepods and tiger pods. So you just keep that thing rotating in there, and make sure you got it properly lit, and it should create a nice little stabilization feature to this environment. And then moving on, we've got this tank over here. You're wondering, what's this guy? I know it's on the end, it's not hooked up to anything, I noticed it's got that one tube. Well, that one tube right there has got a check valve in it. There's a little pump down there, and I keep the water cycling. This is actually coming out of my RO system straight into this tank, and I just salt it so it's got nutrients and everything, and it keeps this water level perfect, so it keeps this protein skimmer and everything running the way that it needs to be running. And whenever it reads it's low, just auto fills it up. So So that's pretty cool. All in all, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Lots of things that had to be learned, and cool knowledge, and it was also just being able to build it. The experience, is it's pretty cool being able to maintain a complex ecosystem. So figured I'd share that with you guys. That's my reef tank. It's coming along. Coral's doing great. We're gonna start pumping it full of corals here now that we got this calcium reactor and everything going. Well, I hope that wasn't too boring for you, but just wanted to share that. It's a fun hobby. It's a great decoration for the house. You get more pets out of the deal. Super easy to maintain. Not. Yeah. Well, once you get the hang of it, maybe. But, anywho, hope you inspired. Maybe set up a reef tank of your own.